Since 2014, I've read at Crazy Wisdom Bookstore 3 times for the poetry and storytelling groups. Since my epic poem is over 9,000 lines, I thought I'd invite people here tonight for a little longer taste of it than nearly 5 or 10 minutes. For more of a sense of the story as a shaman journey, drawing from and evoking all the great spiritual and wisdom traditions and regional civilizations. As a global tale, I'm speaking to the entire planet, not merely the Western world. While the whole is always more than the sum of its parts, I gratefully acknowledge my indebtedness to such writers and thinkers as the historian Arnold Toynbee, Carl Jung, Houston Smith, Aldous Huxley, Joseph Campbell, many others of more of open and universal sensibility. Campbell especially wrote on shamanism and myth and their power to heal the tribe through a visionary experience and tale. Joseph Campbell also wrote repeatedly about the overview image of Earthrise rising over the moon that the astronauts captured first as the great new mythic image and symbol for our time. I hope my epic tale might be judged worthy of the best in their writing and work. And over the last 30 years, actually the writing of my epic poem, The Parliament of Poets, took more than 30 years of study, reflection, and actual writing. Apollo calls all the poets of the nations, ancient and modern, east and west, to the moon to consult on the meaning of modern life. The Parliament of Poets chooses one of its own to send on a journey to the 7 continents to learn from all of the spiritual wisdom traditions a new global spiritual vision of life. First, I'm going to read the invocation. 4 most epic poems begin with asking the gods for help and inspiration. Then I'll read a selection from the very beginning of Book 1, Chapter 1, Set on the Moon, already at the Apollo 11 landing site, followed by a few selections from elsewhere in the book. Book 1, On the Moon, the main character, the poet of the moon, speaking. O Muse, O maid of heaven, O circling moon, O lunar glory of the midnight sky, I call on thee to bless thy servant's tongue, descend upon thy pillar of light. Moonbeam blessings that from my mouth may pour out at least a fraction of the love I owe to thee. Sweet blessings for service to God's creation and his creative word, the Bible's thundering verses, Brahma of the Upanishads, Allah the compassionate, Buddha's meditative mystery, Confucius and the Tao. O great spirit of the many peoples and the tribes, if I have ever sacrificed for thee long years drinking water from a wooden bowl, hear my appeal and inspire me to sing the tale supernal upon the moon, the Parliament of Poets, assemblage of thy devoted ones, God intoxicated, survey the cosmos in the centuries. O guide us, divine light and consultation, that I might draw back the curtain of time, explore the many mansions of thy kingdom. East and west meet in thy shining face, acknowledge all factions and antinomies, ephemera of passing light into night, the lunar globe raise our gaze from earth. Grant us perspective to view anew our plight, our fate upon this blue-green globe, this spinning ball of pain and joy, delight. O great being of the eternal universe, near and far, immanent and transcendent, nature's finest glory and beyond, Wrap us in the endless cosmos of your love. In the mid part of the moon I stood, in the midst of a sea of tranquility, looking around me from rim to curving rim, the brilliant moonscape against the blackest black of space, stark blackness, polarities of light and night, where a human footstep marked a giant leap forward in lunar dust for all mankind. Footsteps still all about, undisturbed, untouched by decades of time, destined to remain for all time. Eternity, or as near to it as we can imagine, unlike what Robinson Crusoe found, an ephemeral footprint on a beach. Here, with instruments and a flag unfurled in the solar wind, half a lunar module. The descent platform left far behind the glory of the moon and all creation. And then I saw him sitting upon his nag, Rosinante, Don Quixote, a lance resting across his saddle, as he leaned forward from next to a crater, gazing my way. At first, shock overwhelmed me, finding myself where I was, disoriented, disbelieving. How could it be? I stood there without an encumbering spacesuit, lightly clad in my old corduroy jacket, worn beyond its prime, breathing in the atmosphere of the moon. The man of La Mancha plodded slowly on his nag, even as I began to realize we were not alone. A crowd of people were coming toward me too. How could they have gotten here as well, I wondered. My own presence in Cervantes still a mystery, unexplained, beyond belief, amazement, deeply stirring, shaking my very being as I recalled my flight to the moon. A creaking leather saddle woke me further to his nearness as he leaned closer to me, looking annoyed, eyeing me from his mount. So you finally made it up here. What's taking you so long? Don't give me any of your excuses. We've all been waiting for you. Here they come. Snap out of it and collect your wits. At the head of a throng of people massing across the sea of tranquility, I began to discern other old friends, long known but never met face to face. In the front of the crowd drawing near, I saw Dufu wrapped in Confucian reserve and robe. Exiled, forced to wander and beg, seeking food, crumbs at the door of the great. Hoping for an appointment from the emperor, dreaming of a great man who would bring down the river of heaven to wash away the blood of weapons, never to be used again. Flowing behind him, his robe stirred up the moon dust like a mist about his feet, standing still a distance away, saying with elevated dignity, "You who have been the Chang'an, welcome to the moon." Next to him stood Li Po, friend and fellow poet. Bai Julie followed both, a voice for the people, daring to speak of injustice to the emperor, his fame reaching all the way to distant lands, far to the east, Korea and Japan. A lay Buddhist of the fragrant mountain. The scent of the same fragrance came from the Japanese poets next to him, Basho like a monk by the dust of the world upon him, Saigyo, a monk who left his military clan, Zeami, playwright of the court, whose plays lay bare his time, cutting through to another realm like a samurai sword. Milarepa, the Tibetan poet, clad in cotton, wrapped in selfless practice, detached but from Buddha's teaching of Dharma. Another fragrance too, rose petals and poppies, attar and rumi, the journey of the hoopoe to the samord, the beloved, delirious, whirling in a vortex of longing, and Nagui Mahfouz wearing a cravat. They and many other poets flowed into the landing site. Samuel Johnson and Thomas Gray, Henry Vaughan and George Herbert, Dryden, Shakespeare and Marlowe, Ben beside them, jostling and pushing forward Shelley and John Keats, William Wordsworth, Longfellow, Robert Burns looking ready still to raise a pint for old Lang Syne, his mountain daisy and rose, while Welsh bards stood on a rock with Taliesin, spreading out a round space junk left behind. Between and among the old instruments, the hardware of tranquility base. I could see now poets of the book, Job of tested patience, long suffering, Dante, the man who had been to hell, Milton, who justified the ways of God, song of the conquering evolution of the soul, the battle of good and evil, choosing through free will God's holy gift. Rumi's Indian brother reincarnated, Kabir, weaver of a Muslim Hindu cloth, warp and woof of the one, free of duality, Vyasa, Kalidasa, and Tagore, all had come from their ashrams to the moon. And standing nearby, Sinliki Unini, O moon god, accept my prayer, who entered into the spirit of he who saw the deep. Out of the libraries of Babylon, Sumer raised the song of Gilgamesh and Enkidu, their journey through Mesopotamia. From every land and clime, all around they stood, poets of every continent, jostling for sight of the poet from earth, ahead of his time. New arrival, not yet translated to the spirit of the universe. African poets and shamans, griots of ancient songs, singers of rituals, nobly held their instruments, flutes and calabashes, drums, ready to play as though Balafaseki were about to step forward to sing the tale of Sogalan's son, Sunyata, unifier of Mali, and much of the Africa of his day. Aimé Césaire saluting Africa, Leopold Sédar Senghor, the widening world. In Moonglow, Christopher Okigbo, naked before Mother Idato. And from the Americas too were tellers of tales, Hopi and Navajo, Lakota, Odawa and Iroquois, Mohican, American tribes beyond telling, Incan and Aztec, Aborigines of Australia, drums and didgeridoos, island peoples. All stood quietly on the moon, watching, pressing to see this most curious of sights, a supposed white man from the suburbs, not long from morning prayers, plunked down on the moon. Together, Merlin and Queen Mab stood before the crowd, he holding out his staff, she clothed in nature's bountiful plenty, catching the eye of many a poet and seer. Speaking the thought of many present, addressing Cervantes, Merlin asked, "What is this embodied spirit doing here amongst us, disturbing the serenity of our lunar home? How can this be? Is this one of your quixotic jokes? Did you bring him here, and what's the point?" Cervantes leaned slightly back in the saddle, Rosinante snorkeling, giving her head a little shake, her mangy mane taking a while to resettle in low gravity. All eyes moved from Merlin to Cervantes, who replied, once peace and quiet had resumed, though how and why the heavenly realm that poets have occupied from time immemorial could be compromised, still seemed to hang upon the lips of many, glared from their eyes full of curiosity. Cervantes, cocking his head with authority, swept his eyes over the assembly of poets. The pressing multitude began, "We have all experienced the loss of the living presence in modern times, even those who would go backward show loss. Our people all lose their way, bewildered, science usurping the glory of the moon, our domain, where most of us dwell even now. Just look around at all the trash the astronauts and scientists left behind, scattered about the beauty of this plain. All man's science and technology cannot understand the moon, mighty symbol of eons, visible sign, uplifting men's eyes to the heavens. You all know I speak the truth. Many of our people, and even some of us, cling to nostalgia, but it is not the same as that deep experience of the divine. lifting his lance into the air, waving it about. Rosinante leaping apace, raising her forelegs, Cervantes exclaimed, "Obey, Lord Apollo, I challenge you, I call here a parliament of poets. In high consultation we shall find the way back home to the depths of man's
Book
soul."
2,
Already on the
all
moon
known
and sung about.
the
The poet of the
peoples,
moon is also
that they
speaking.
might find wisdom through the light.
Set with Black Elk and Chief Seattle, already on the moon. And a great war cry went up, drums tom tom, the deep bass sound of tightly stretched hide, chanting of many braves, pounding of hearts. Clearing a space, poets made room for a young Lakota Indian brave, strong and virile, raising a hoop before him, dancing the hoop dance of his people, the hoop dance of all the peoples of Mother Earth, far above, while all stood round, the poets and seers, shamans and singers, griots and troubadours, bards and rhapsodes, watching him pounding moon dust, mesmerized, for he danced in another world, the world, as it were, of the moon. Behind him all could see the hoop of the earth, beyond the hoop of the moon, within the hoop of the moon's own hoop, the hoop of our rotating solar system, the hoop of the spinning Milky Way, the hoops of the innumerable galaxies, the hoop of the endless universe. His long braids spun with the planets spinning on their axes as he weaved in and out and through 9 hoops, and the pounding of the drums pulsed through the arteries of the universe. First one way and then the other, his moccasins dancing through moon dust, feathers proudly worn, hide loincloth, pipe bone breastplate, and headdress transfixing everyone by the energy of his dance. Seen by all, an even more astounding sight took place as he slowly changed into an ancient medicine man, standing proud and noble, holding a sacred croup stick, a medicine wheel with seven feathers suspended from it. The youth was gone. Black Elk stood before us. "Behold the earth," he commanded, gesturing with his croup stick, directing our gaze, rising like a hoop of many peoples. "It is holy, being endless, broken like a ring of smoke. The broken hoop begins to heal, to encircle the Indian nation. All nations, once again, heal." All the universe seemed to listen. In a sacred manner, wide as starlight, though broken and scattered, Black Elk moved toward me, lifting his croup stick to earth. "The holy tree will heal and flourish. Poets and shamans, bring the people back into the sacred hoop, that they might walk again the red road in a sacred manner, pleasing to walk in Tonka, the great mystery. Gitche Manito, the great spirit, the great Father beyond all the names of my people, the spirit of the universe." Looking out over the sea of tranquility, at the sea of faces following his every word, Black Elk said, "Though nations are in despair, teach this poet your strong medicine, that he might help humankind, walk the good road again." Coming down from the module, I stood before Black Elk, struggling with emotion, speechless, overcome by the vision of his words. Black Elk began chanting, raising the hoop, raising the vision of man, not white nor red, but human, before the universe, the good earth spinning in the background. And then he said, "It is hard to follow the great vision in the world of darkness. Many men get lost among the shadows." Turning round to all the assembled poets on all sides, Black Elk said, "We must be the pathfinders for this poet, guide him through the forests of memory on the right path. Even I despaired for my people, thought the people's beautiful dream had died, I to whom was given so great a vision. Sometimes dreams are wiser than waking. The great mystery watches all his children. We know the center is not dead and cannot die. Help this poet tend the sacred tree. Bloom again at the center of the hoop. If your medicine is strong, pour it forth. And then, from the Indian hunting party, another chief stepped forward, Chief Seattle. In full regalia, a headdress of eagle feathers and brocade flowing down behind him. Standing next to Black Elk, Chief Seattle said, gazing at our planet, every part of Earth is sacred to our people. Pine needles and sandy shores, dark woods and meadows, the humming insect and the howling wolf, all are holy. The earth is our mother. What befalls her befalls the sons of earth. Earth does not belong to man. Man belongs to earth. The great mystery has woven this web. Man is but a strand within it. Our God is the God of all people. The earth is precious to him. To harm the earth is to heap contempt upon him. We must preserve the land for all children. There is only one God, and we are brothers after all. Black Elk, you must teach this poet your strong medicine. Take him to the caves below, before our time before time, before we cross the land and ice. Into the deep caves of the past, as into a sweat lodge he must go, so that his tongue may chant the song that will help the world tree grow again. At last, a great circle of peace hooped the globe. Book 4
those words
is the
set in
great
India,
chief passed back into the hunting party.
with
His
the
words in the moon
Indian
air,
epic poet
being all pondered.
Vyasa,
author of the Mahabharata, India's greatest epic poem. And with
In the shade
poet
sat
Tagore,
by
modern Indian
Nothing
poet
stirred.
Rabindranath Tagore,
Felt I had
as
to
a
speak.
guide, and said to him, "Oh, Vyasa, help me find a vision worthy of humanity. The time is so confused. Passion and violence rack the entire globe. The ways of peace and meditation lost." Unruffled, he replied, "Strive always to teach humanity Dharma and the ends of life. Time flows like a river, but the body cannot remain steady like a boat. The soul is a traveler that is forever in search of its far shore, its goal and aim. I know that is why Tagore has brought you. O poet of the moon, to my ashram, to cry over the failings of life is not the aim. Rid yourself of all attachment. It is good that man does not know the future. What is fated will happen as it should. Pre-knowledge can be a cause of sorrow. You are unable to watch what I have seen. Do not blame your fate for the turn of events. Man is responsible for what happens. Fate means only that God knows what will happen, but he never interferes in human affairs. Renunciation does not mean running away, but facing one's problems squarely. You must choose the path of renunciation. Only then will the gods help you. The battle is first in your own soul. Choose sacrifice. Poet of the moon, your dharma is heavy, but Brahma tests every soul with its burden. Let your action rise to your fate. Dharma, this is all that I have to teach, and all you need to learn on your journey around the world. And so the gods gave me this hermitage, don't you see? He ended, allowing that to sink in, motioned me towards him. I rose from the woven mat that I was sitting on and stood in front of him. From a small bowl of red sandalwood paste, he anointed my forehead with a red dot between my eyebrows. We raised our hands in namaste, bowing slightly as we did, Tagore touching his feet as did I, leading me away into the forest, where he stopped, overlooking the river, paused, soon held out his outstretched arm toward me. In a daze I grasped it, lost in thought, meditation, and
The last canto I'm going to read is from Book 6.
Is set in China at the Mogao Caves with Sun Wukong, the Chinese Monkey King from the great Chinese epic, The Journey to the West, a Neo-Confucian epic about the Buddhist monk Zhongsan, who travels to India to bring back from India Buddhist scriptures to help Chinese Buddhism grow and so on. Just jumping right into it. Sun Wukong. Now, past the early glow of sunrise, birdsong no longer heard in the oasis. We sat a while until Sun Wukong said, standing up, casting his eyes over me, "It's time. The sun is on the cliff and caves." Without a word, I too stood and looked toward the bluff, signaled him in silence, followed him as he led the way, no longer scampering or flying, but serenely, peacefully out from under the trees and across lotus blossom paving stones to the cliff face, where we could see caves ranked in both directions. I followed him up and along the stairs and a walkway, sensing he knew the way, my Monkey King guide. The heat of the sun now on us, I could feel the day coming on, hot and dry as an Arizona desert. With the sun, we entered the cave, Tang Dynasty at its height, sumptuous detail everywhere, glorious art intimating a world beyond art, art its servant, glorying in its servitude, exalting in worship of beauty beyond beauty, the highest, deepest, true beauty, the good, the true, the beautiful made one. Awe, waves of awe overwhelmed me. I felt it once again. Wukong silently stepped aside, stayed back out of the way, allowed me to move forward past the murals, toward the niche, deeper toward the western wall, where those before me reigned in splendor, glory, the Buddha Sakyamuni, his right hand raised in the mudra of have no fear, though I was already far beyond fear, where no fear can ever reach, taking in all the scene, his sitting on an octagonal throne, Mount Meru, as it were, the center of the universe, cosmic mountain transcending the worldly plane, far beyond the mountain caves. Encircled with a nimbus of spiritual fire, his glowing nature made manifest, he sat in lotus position, head erect and calm, peace and nobility emanating, resonant in his bearing, crowning essence, long ear lobes intimating the princely world he left behind, flowing robes. He seemed to float above the cave floor, above the world, while his companions stood on either side.